All right, welcome everybody to our 2025 CEID Alumni Career Panel. Excited to have 4 alumni joining us today. The aim of our career panel is to celebrate and share achievements of our CEID community. We've now been going for just over 5 years now, so we have people around the world doing all sorts of work. This is going to provide a space for panelists to share their career journey, advice, and challenges, and for you to ask questions for individuals that were just in your shoes a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So it's going to be a little different. It's going to be a facilitated panel discussion. I've asked all of our alumni to think a little bit about their current position, career journey, and the challenges they've had. So it'll be, I don't think there's any slides that will be shared here. It'll just be a conversation that I have with the 4 panelists, and then we'll open up to question and answers. So our panelists today, and I'll have them introduce their position a little bit more. So from the class of 2022, we have Evelyn Tang, who's currently a digital education advisor at the Center for Teaching and Learning at the University of Oxford. We also have Katia Mackley, who is a volunteer for employment development officer at Third Sector Dumfries and Galloway. So she is part of the first MSc CEID program. One of her classmates is Rebecca Gao. So she recently founded her own consulting firm. So I'm interested to hear how she's done that. And from last year's cohort, we have Dilara Keven joining us, an education officer for the Turkish Fullbright Commission. So I am going to remind everybody what we'll be talking about, the current position, career journey, and challenges. And I'm going to stop sharing now so we can bring the 4 of you on screen. So give me a second. Evelyn, right now you're really big, but we're going to get everybody else. So spotlight you 4. Okay, and as we get started, Rebecca, right now I can see your nose, but not your eyes. Ah, there you are. Yep. So you just need to sit back a little bit. All right. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me, though you can't see me. I'm sharing the class screen with you. Thanks so much for joining. It's wonderful seeing everybody. And for some of you, it's been a couple of years. So thanks so much for supporting the CEID community and taking your time to share what you've been doing with us. I want to start with just kind of a round-robin introduction of who you are and what you're currently doing. And I know Evelyn's got a very limited time with us, so I want to start with Evelyn. Evelyn, can you talk about what you're currently working on and introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Will, for having me, and nice to see you all. I'm currently working as digital education advisor at the Center for Teaching and Learning at Oxford University. So my main job responsibility is to support digital teaching and learning at the university. So that might involve provide specialist advice and hands-on support and consultancy for program teams or course teams with the use of digital tools to design and build flexible and inclusive learning activity. So beyond that, 2 of the projects that I have been involved in are generative AI, not surprise, and physical teaching spaces project.
Okay. Thanks, Evelyn. Katia, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the invitation also. I work for an organization called Third Sector Dumfries and Galloway. It's a third sector interface, which means that it's an organization that offers a sort of single point of access for support and advice for all third sector organizations within the area. And what I do as volunteer for employment development officer is I've been brought in to work on the Volunteer for Employment project, which is a project which aims at supporting individuals into volunteering. So it's individuals who are looking for work and are looking to build up their experience and their skills and maybe their confidence also. So I match individuals with the different volunteering opportunities in the region.
Thanks, Katia. Rebecca, welcome. I think your organization's pretty new. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a
Yeah,
little bit about it?
Yeah, hi, Will and everyone. Thank you for having me. I just founded my own firm, like I guess it's 2 years ago, but it's not from an idea, but now it's operating. It's growing, and my firm mainly focus on three parts. The first one is bringing international students to China if they want to study in a Chinese university. We will provide them with a device, how to prepare, and also help them apply for the offer and also scholarship. The second part is, as I used to do, I try to bringing or sending Chinese students overseas, but we mainly focus on the young teenager and kids. So they may have planned to study in a UK university in the future, but they want to have a taste of UK like education. So they will use like a summer holiday or winter holiday to study in a local school. So we focus on bridging the kids with the local school. And we also have the plan, me and my partner are thinking about working with some companies to have some AI Chinese class for prospects who have planned to study in China. Yeah, that's what we are doing now.
Excellent. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Congratulations for getting that off the ground. Dilara, welcome. You were basically in Edinburgh about 7 months ago. So you share a little bit about yourself and what you're currently doing.
Yeah. So hi everyone. Thank you for the invitation. I am currently working for the Turkish Fullbright Commission as an education advisor. For those who don't know about the Fullbright Commission, it was founded back in 1946 by an American senator, William J. Fullbright, to build a mutual understanding between countries through education and cultural exchange. So what I'm doing right now is to ensure that both the American scholars and students and Turkish scholars and students process here and there goes smoothly, basically.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Dilara. All right. Next up, I want to get a little bit of sense on the career journey. Now, I know that some of you are in a similar field to that you were before you started the CEID program, right? It might be a different organization, but you're still working in international education or student mobility, and some it's entirely different. So I was hoping you could talk a little bit about your past experience, and if you did change, then why did you change? How did you decide on that? And if you're stayed there, then like what did the program help you accomplish? Why did you come here if you're staying in the same field? What was the benefit for that? So Evelyn, I'm going to start with you again this time, because I know you've got limited time. So.
Sure. Thank you so much, Will. Before sharing my career journey, I have to say I am a very funny person. So before coming to CEID, I have already got 3 bachelors, all in different disciplines. And so there are English, sociology, and media digital cultures. And it's a way of exploring my interests. So I switch again to the education, and then I pick CEID, which seems the best choice. And then why during this 1-year programs, I did one module called Children and Technology, and really sparked my interest for technology side. And I'm thinking, how about integrating everything I did? So that shows the direction for a particular pathway within education field, that is at tech. And so what I did is during CEID, I applied for my second master's, which is specialized in EdTech. So I applied the master programs, the long name, Education, Bracket, and Social Change at Oxford University. And I'm very lucky, so I get it. And it's quite critical perspective of digital technologies. And in the middle of doing that, generative AI, so the ChatGPT emerged, perfect timing. And so while I'm writing the dissertation, I also did a summer internship at the Center for Teaching and Learning, so current organizations, that is to investigate Oxford students' digital experiences, kind of match on what I did in the field. And after that, I'm very lucky to get a quite junior, like basic role in the center. So it's digital education support assistant. And after that 9 months of getting more experiences, so I got a promotion to the advisor role. And although I'm quite proud because some of my colleagues did spend 5 or 6 years to get such a 2-jump grade promotions. But I think we're pretty lucky, but also try to spend a bit more effort on the role. That's kind of the career journey I have.
Thanks, Evelyn. That's a lot of degrees.
Yeah.
A lot of degrees. Wondering if you can share a little bit, because our current students are probably thinking, you know, we're maybe just over halfway done. We've got the rest of our coursework and then a dissertation. And then maybe they don't want to go for another master's after that. I know you're not the only CEID alumni that's got a second master's. Can you talk to me a little bit more about the benefits for that, why you thought it was necessary, or why you think it might be a good option for some people?
Sure. I think to be honest, I think it's more into a habit of continuous studying because that's kind of in the comfort zone because you have the professors, academics to teach you the knowledge in the field rather than just throw you in the real world and then you can explore. And I think that's why I think prioritize applying for the second master rather than just finding relevant jobs in the industry as well. And particularly at that time, so it's pretty hard for international people to find the most related job for me. So I think going for the second master seems the appropriate choice for me. But of course, then you goes into the same loop doing essays, assignment, and to be honest, I did feel lost when I'm doing the second master because it's quite theoretical and high levels, and I don't know what's going on. But the internship experiences is kind of work on the ground because every university is emphasizing digital transformation at this stage. So it really gives me a little taste of what's going on the ground. So that's really helpful. But I guess a little real tips is while doing your degrees in this 1 year, use the modules, doing the essays to explore your interest, and feel free to looking for the jobs going for the real life, a real world, or you're gonna continue this life, but you always have to pause it, and then you're gonna dive into the real world anyways.
Thanks, Evelyn. Rebecca, wondering if you can share a little bit about your experience, because you had quite a bit of experience coming to CEID, and I think if I remember right, kind of returned to the school you were working on, I think running, before you started your own bit. So can you talk a little bit about it for me?
Yes, I have a quite long career journey because I graduated like 14 years ago with a bachelor's degree. I have worked as a translator and interpreter, and also work in an international company. All of them have cross-cultural communication, which I really like. But before going to CEID, I was working in a university in China as the director of its international office. I left the school because I feel like the pace in school is very slow for me because I like to be challenged every day. And I got this business idea while I was in Edinburgh, while I was talking with like people or colleagues from different countries. So that's where the business began. And I'm still having a position in the university because they don't want me to go. So I'm trying to bridge everything together. And also from my experience, this like career panel is very important. For me, like I keep talking with people to see how their career is, whether I'm interested in it or not. Until today, I'm still keep connection with like CEID alumni in China because we almost share the same interest. So they are in different like positions related to international education. That's quite a resource for us. And also you keep checking them how the work is going, whether you like it or not, whether you want to transfer your job someday, you know how where you are going. So that's my experience I would like to share. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Wonderful to hear that some of our alumni in China are staying connected to each other. I think Evelyn was part of the first group that was trying to connect with Evelyn and Rona and the rest of our Chinese alumni, so good stuff. Dilara, can you share a little bit about your transition and especially talking a little bit about, since you are from last year's cohort, you effectively got a job relatively quickly. Can you share your journey and a little bit of how you landed that job?
So before joining the CEID, I was working as an international education advisor, but I was working for a private agency. So basically what I was doing was just promoting international education and promoting universities to students. But I was also doing things that went against my beliefs. So I was writing the, I don't know, what was it called? The proposal for students, even though they had to write it. So things like that. So after, I mean, I always wanted to study the education policy and development through education. So after I finished my studies at the University of Edinburgh, I took like a month off after the dissertation process because I needed that. So I think by the start of October, I started to apply to NGOs and other international organizations based here in Turkey. And I had some weird job interviews during the process, but I think with the Turkish Fullbright Commission, both my experience as an international education advisor combined with my education at the University of Edinburgh kind of made me a better candidate for their job, I mean, employee market, I guess. So I'm not sure. I mean, the job market right now in Turkey is just crazy. It's really hard to find a job, and I still cannot believe I find a job in a month, to be honest.
Well, congratulations. Well done. Katia, can you share a little bit about your journey? Because I think you are back working in the UK, and also maybe talk a little bit about the decision to come back to the UK after, I think when you were done, you were in France for a while. So.
Yeah, before I came to CEIDs, I grew up in France and then moved to first study in England, and I studied international development. And I went to CEID pretty much straight from my undergrad degree, wanting to continue focusing on international development, but with a bit more focus on education also, because that was really something that I was interested in. And I also promised myself coming into the masters that I also wanted to gain more experience alongside my studies. So I kind of decided that with myself. I studied my undergrad during COVID, so there was not much going on. It was a little bit restricted also. So the idea of going into work straight after my undergrad didn't quite fit right with me. So being able to do the masters was also part of the justification to come to CEID. And during the program, there was lots of different opportunities to get involved in lots of things. I joined the PERC internship fellowship, which was a great way to get an insight into what working in a remote consortium looked like. I also decided to do the placement-based dissertation, which gave a bit more hands-on experience and insight into what working in a membership organization looks like, and also joined the CEID Society and did some work on more the creative and social media bits, which I really enjoyed. So as I was studying, I had a chance to try out lots of different experience, which helped me decide a bit more what it is that I wanted to do afterwards. I came in starting the program without really a clue of what I wanted to do afterwards or what kind of jobs were out there. So using the program as a stepping stone to think more about what kind of job opportunities were there. After the program, I went back to France, partly because I needed some money, so I got a job that just to kind of build up some savings to then give myself a bit more space to think about what I really wanted to do and think about where I wanted to be and how it all sort of what comes next really. I think I found that during the program there was lots of ways to get involved, but also the academics were quite challenging, so it took a lot of time and didn't really give myself much space to think about what next apart from building that experience, knowing that that would be helpful for afterwards. So went back to France, just focused on making money, and once I'd saved up a little bit, and I decided to move back to Scotland because this is where I just loved being in Scotland. It's still something that was so really special to me, and just really wanted to try my way back in Scotland also. And I moved to the countryside, which is something that was a more for personal reasons, something that I wanted to do also. And from then on, you sort of in a new place, having to build up a network, find out what's possible. And so I decided that to join as many opportunities that I could find. So a lot of them were voluntary opportunities, so that I did a lot of research on the kind of organizations that were in the area and what interests me. So I joined girl guiding, which I love the idea of being able to be with younger kids and do some skills development with younger girls. I also joined a project called the Befriending Project, which was linked with mentoring young people in the region. So I just sought out different opportunities that aligned with what it is that I was interested in. I also found during my degree that I did my dissertation on a community-led project and was really interested. That sort of also sparked an interest into local development and community. The idea of working for a local charity then was what I thought, okay, I'll give this a go. This is what I want to do now. So through all the volunteering that I did, that really helped me to build up the network in the area, and just having conversations with people and saying, right, well, this is where I'm at now. I'm also looking for work. Do you know of anything? And that is really how I landed the job that I'm in now, was for someone. As I was doing research, I'd already identified the organization that I'm in as maybe one of the key organizations in the area and something that was interested. And then you sort of regularly check if there's any jobs coming up, but that doesn't always lead to anything. And then eventually, but through chatting to people, it all kind of comes around full circle, and you end up having someone talk to you. Oh, I think we think you would be good for this job. You'd already identified it, and then you kind of use all the skills that you had learned from the masters, but also from the other experiences, and try to combine that, and then that's how I got the job. I would say it wasn't quick. It took a lot of time for me. I graduated in December. Well, a lot of time, maybe it's all relative, but I graduated in December 2023 and started working in May 2024. So there was about six months from the graduation. Also, that's when. And I think at the time you just apply to lots of different things that come up that you think might work. I applied for quite a lot of remote positions also. Simultaneously, I was also working on the application for the Charity Works grad scheme. So just trying to generally felt like I was throwing lots of arrows into the sky and hoping that one would land. And then everything just happened at the same time for me. Both found out that I was accepted to the next rounds of Charity Works at the same time as I got the job, and there was other jobs also happening in the background. So it's funny how life happens, really. You can't really plan for that. You just try lots of things and then hope that something comes back.
Thanks, Katia. It's interesting to hear about all the different experiences that you had, and how even if it wasn't in the same exact area, you were able to use some of those skills of networking, communication, and social media to try to land where you're at now. Very cool. All right, last question for the panel, and then we're going to open it up. So again, I'm going to start with Evelyn because I think you're about out of time here. Thinking about the challenges, wondering if you can talk a little bit about what challenges did you face after you graduated, and any tips on how to overcome some of those challenges.
I think particularly the challenges I have facing is like the program only lasts for 1 year, and you have to think about so many things within 1 year. So probably it's the first time that you come to different countries and getting used to different education systems, and you have to learn about the how to write academic writing skills, but also how to network with others within the cohort, but also academics or staff who work in industries with align with your career plans. So that's really the thing that I have really struggled with. I won't say I overcome some of them because I still learning the networking skills, to be honest. But I think try not to let assessment or essays take the full time of your program within this 1 year, but try to think about the futures or what you want, what kind of life you want to be, and what careers you want to try. And you don't have to stick to one. And I would say we're still young, like, so feel free to explore things. I didn't mean to do a second or third master degrees, but there's a lot of opportunities and you can try with it, and also take advantage of the resources within CEID communities, but also probably the university may have some career service, so you can do one-on-one consultations to explore a little bit. So that's really helpful for me.
Okay. Thanks, Evelyn. I know you've got to jump out soon, so I appreciate your time here. If you need to take off, please feel free to. So,
yeah, thanks so much, Will.
All right, Dilara, I'm going to go to you next for this question. So again, mentioned that the Turkish job market is very challenging. Can you talk any about specific challenges you had as you were kind of either navigating your dissertation and starting off to where you are today, and how any advice on how to overcome some of those?
Well, I think that the biggest challenge after you graduate and start looking for a job is time. I mean, time is your biggest enemy, because it's kind of like when you first apply to universities for your master's degree, you get a lot of rejections. So you have to, again, get used to getting a lot of rejection emails. So during my job application process, I applied to mostly NGOs and, like I said, other commissions based here in Turkey, Istanbul, where I'm from. But I mean, through the interviews, I don't know, sometimes you find yourself in really uncomfortable positions about I don't know, the questions they ask you. And I don't know, it's just like the places you talk to and get interviewed can be challenging. So you have to be prepared for that. So what I did during that process is that I sometimes get calls from companies I didn't even apply to, but I would join their interviews just to practice. So that might be something you might do. But again, just looking for the correct job for you is going to be challenging. It's going to take time, but you have to keep a hopeful mindset while you're looking for a job, and just take every chance that you get to join the interview. Just talk to people, answer their questions. Just see that as I don't know, an activity that you put into your daily routine, maybe. About my education and how it reflected in my job applications is that I also did a PhD. So apart from my dissertation, I also had to write a report. And that reporting part, I think, affected me into getting this job, because a lot of work that I do right now is about reporting and writing reports. So getting that experience there in University of Edinburgh kind of did this growth into me, like finding this job and being good at it, I think. Yeah, I think that's it.
Cool. Thanks, Dilara. It's good to hear that the kind of second output for our PBDs, reporting, was useful for you in your career. Also, I think really important for everybody to understand, like, you're going to get rejections. It's part of the job search thing. It's tough, but your point on like continuing to stay hopeful despite rejections, I think is really important for us all to support each other with. So, thanks. All right, Katia, how about for yourself? What are some of the challenges you've had since you finished your master's, and how did you help overcome them?
I think another big challenge to add to those that have already been discussed was going from having quite a close group of friends, everyone living close to each other, to all of a sudden everyone being spread across the world and everything. You can feel quite lonely. Plus, on top of that, trying to look for jobs and having to deal with rejection and all of that, it can be quite a difficult moment of your life. So I would really advise to keep in touch with the friends that you have or the friends that you've made. And if you've got other friends who are going through something similar and working on it together, supporting each other through the job hunt process, I think that would help a lot. I think I found that I guess you get a bit of imposter syndrome also when you're looking for that first experience. And even though in my case, I had done lots of academic, I felt like I was good at academics by the time I finished, and then wasn't quite sure how to apply that to a more real life scenario and what that looked like in a job setting. So I think it's just being kind to yourself, and there's not much you can do about imposter syndrome, I think, apart from you maybe realize that everyone feels it and that you just have to push through it, and you get, once you somehow get to the other side of it, and it will still kick in at other points. But I think that was something that was difficult with the kind of fitting into the first job. In my case, that was completely different to what I'd done before. Before I had much more hospitality experience and all of that, but just kind of working in a charity, working in an organization, and working in an office, all those things that were quite new to me. So I think that's probably, yeah, be kind to yourself through that transition, because it was challenging, and that's the best you can do, I think.
Thanks, Katia. Yeah, I think we all have imposter syndrome, and sometimes I still have imposter syndrome in certain spaces, depending on where I go. So it's very true. Rebecca, how about yourself? For challenges after your master's, probably starting your business is quite a challenge. But what else?
Yeah, it's quite, but actually the most difficult part for me after graduation is where should I go? Because I'm already at a senior position in a university. So, but I have lost interest in that position. So what's my next step? That has been very embarrassing for me because I cannot apply for a very junior role in a new position. So I tried UNESCO for a lot of times. I didn't hear anything. And I also think about international school in China. But after I talk with Rona, she's working in an international school. She told me I didn't have I'm not competitive enough, so I had to give up. I'm also thinking about British Council in China and UNICEF in China. So I try to connect with them. I didn't find whether like I'm more competitive than other applicants. So at the end, I was thinking what can I do, which will better suit my situation. So I went back to the idea like collaborating with people from different countries to work on bringing international students to China. We started from one project in March last year. It went very well. That's when my business really started. And then I also connected with alumni CEID cohorts from my cohort. I know some of them, they were working in education consulting field. So I keep talking with them whether we can collaborate on some projects. And since this year, we have been doing this. So my lesson I have learned from this journey is you have to keep reaching out, you know. You will got stuck at a point a lot of time, but you need to think about how to find a new beginning, you know. And I'm very glad I came where I am now. And also I feel I'm proud of myself because I feel like I'm quite brave at this age to try a lot of new things. So you are very young, you should try that too.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, I want to, hopefully for about 10 minutes or so, open up the floor for some questions, people. So anybody here, raise your hand if you've got a question for one or anybody else in the audience. So, all right, hold on a second. You can move the mic around and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Hannah, current student right now, but I just had a question about people who stayed in the United Kingdom as an international student and just kind of talk about your experiences of that process of trying to find a job here. I know you talked about it a little bit already, how it's hard as an international student, but kind of and maybe some insights or advice you have on that process.
All right, I'm going to see if there's any other questions, and we'll take a few right now. So, yeah.
I was wondering, my name's Olivia. I was wondering if you guys could talk a bit more on what you were doing during the program to kind of prepare for those next steps.
Excellent. So let's start with the, for those that are working in the UK, kind of how you navigated continuing to work in the UK. So I think that is for Katia and Evelyn. Katia, you want to get us started with that?
I have to say my experience coming back to the UK after being in France is probably a bit different because I have an English dad, so I had a British passport, which made things so much easier and so much smoother to come back. I have friends who have stayed in the UK after, and it has been a long and difficult and uncertain process. I think I'm probably not the best person to speak about this, but you'd be able to apply for a graduate visa, which gives you access to stay for 2 years. And there's a cost involved with that also. When it comes to working in the UK as opposed to maybe working in France, so what I find that especially people in Scotland are really friendly and will. There's something where it's a lot more informal in the conversations that you have with people. So I think working in the UK is at least working in Scotland is quite a nice environment to be in. But that's probably all I can say on that.
Thanks, Katia. Evelyn?
Yes, I'm definitely on the graduate visa, which is gonna expire next January. And as you mentioned, it's pretty tricky for international people to find jobs. And if you want to stay in the UK, and then the new policy kind of lifted the salary standards, which is tricky. But I guess my tips is, as mentioned earlier, so use existing resources within the university. So I guess why I can find a job is like really lucky to find the internship, and actually it does not lead to any further job with at the center. But then one day suddenly one junior job just released, and I think I just go into it and try, because like the worst thing is a no and rejected letters, but you should definitely try it. And then after that, I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to do this junior role probably for 2 years, but then suddenly something else pop up. So I guess crack on doing things and use the existing resources. And if you can like build network around people's working in the industries or align with your career futures, that would be even better, because they will really recommended resources and starting from the working opportunities, and then you can climb up ladders a little bit.
Thanks, Evelyn. All right, now on to Olivia's question, which I think was more about what were you doing in the program, I guess, during semester and during dissertation period to help prepare you for the next steps. So, and Rebecca, let's go ahead and start with you, and we'll go kind of the opposite way this time.
I have two ideas to share. The first one, as we keep talking about networking, that for me is the most important thing. I have two major networks while I study in Edinburgh. I have one from CEID. I have another one from Chevening Scholarship. They have a lot of like distinguished scholars from different countries who all share great ambitions. So we keep talking about what can we do after the program. And that help us to expand beyond what we know. And the other network is the CEID program, because we'll provide so many opportunities for us to know academic, to know professional, to know the industry. I think everyone should make best use of the opportunity provided by CEID. And the third idea is keep exploring who you are, what you really want to do. Because someone are good at academic, they want to pursue a doctor. Someone are very good at like industry work, and someone who are good at like communication, connecting people together. So that's where you can grow a career for a long term, you know. That's my ideas I would like to share. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Dilara, how about yourself? What were you doing during the program that helped?
Well, I agree with Rebecca. I mean, even though the program is just for a year, the program itself, I mean, you guys provide us with a lot of opportunities. So attending poster sessions, conferences, doing a PBD, working for another organization or stuff like that, is going to help you develop yourself and be more active while you're doing your studies, but also it looks great on your resume. So I would suggest attending every opportunity that is given to you while you're doing your studies. Apart from that, I would say that while I was writing my dissertation, I wasn't actively applying to jobs, but I was looking for job applications and looking at the jobs I might just apply after I graduate. So I was looking at the wordings and how they posted those job applications and who are they looking for. Just looking at those job applications and the postings and just like writing your resume based on those postings might help you while you're looking for a job.
It's good advice, Dilara, is to not think about opening up a job description the first time when you need to apply to a job, to get familiar with some of the language and what is the field kind of looking for. Good.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Katia, how about yourself? What were you doing during the program that helped for you?
I think in my case, it was trying to do as much as I could. That was joining the fellowship, doing the placement-based dissertation, doing some extra volunteering with other societies. I think that was really one of the things that helped as much as possible. I realize you're now on the second half, so you might be thinking, oh no, I didn't do any of that. What can I do at this point? And so I was trying to think of what would be helpful then. I think in my case also, something really simple, but just taking the time to think about all the skills, but also all the transferable skills that you've got, because sometimes you might think that I'm writing academic essays, and that's that, but actually you've got so many more skills that you can apply into, I want to call them real world situations, work situations, and just having a think about that. It can be quite uplifting and quite helpful. And then maybe thinking about something that I maybe wish I'd done was start looking at jobs a little bit earlier. I was quite afraid, I would say, of what was come next, and just kind of put my head a bit and focus and said, oh, I'll just focus on writing my dissertation, doing that. But I think just casually looking at the job titles, at what the kind of responsibilities that you could be doing, the kind of different sectors that are out there would probably be really helpful. There were two websites that helped me looking in the UK. One was called goodmoves.org. That's, I think, brings all together all the third sector in Scotland. And the other one was called charityjob.co.uk. And that had a good mix also of remote roles and in-person roles. So maybe having a look at what's out there and gently starting to think about what you could be doing afterwards, trying to think how the skills that you're developing during the program are matching up with the skills that the jobs are looking for. And I also spoke to the careers advice service, and they were quite helpful in just reassuring me in the process, because I think when you start, you feel like you're maybe not doing it right, or why am I getting so many rejections, or I don't know, what I was expecting something magical and it didn't quite happen. So I think speaking to the career service and to the other people around you can also help you to stay grounded and just know that you're doing the best you can, and eventually something comes out of that.
Okay. Thanks, Katia. Evelyn, how about yourself? What were you doing that was useful while you were in the program?
So I guess for me, a really quick tip is when I figure out I kind of have huge interest in edtech, and I use dissertation as opportunity to test out how passionate I am. So although like it's not covered in the like directions for dissertations at that time, but I was thinking, oh, I will pick one and see whether I can go and kind self-motivated to finish the research pieces. And during that research pieces, I have to explore the new things for me. And that really gives me a lot of ideas of whether I can conquer more difficulties in these directions. And I think the answer is yes. So I guess I definitely use the modules like the knowledge and the dissertation as the opportunity to test out whether it's possible or not. So really quick. And just to say, I have to leave for another meeting, really apologize. And Will, please feel free to pass on my emails if anyone else has any questions. Really nice to see you all today.
Thank you, Evelyn. Thanks so much. So, yeah, I think we're actually at the end of our panel, because I appreciate you guys have spent almost an hour with me today. Thanks so much. I want to thank the rest of our panelists for really being an example of alumni that are hopeful, that persist, that are curious. And it's a great example of how we have a variety of different people from different backgrounds, all kind of trying to work together and support each other in what is a challenging time to try to find the next job, the next career. So, all right, from the audience, can we just give them one last round of applause? Thanks so much for coming. Thanks, everybody. I'll be in touch. Thanks so much for your time. You're welcome to stay on for the rest of the town hall if you'd like, but we're going to move on to the next piece. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Will. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, I'm going to stop recording.